Hey guys, and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. It's been a little while since the last episode, I'm sorry about that, but we're back. Thank you if you tuned into the live stream last time. So during my little hiatus, I did get this guy working, and he's basically a crop bot who will auto-farm the seeds that we plant in this field. And he was working away with us during the live stream. We were also working on some automations down there for things like Osmium and Palladium. EV to HV. HV to MV, yes. No! Until that happened. So, we decided to roll a backup, and when we rolled the backup, this guy was dead. So we need to put him back together. We need to install our OS again. Takes a very long time. This is a slow computer. Installation complete. Let's do a reboot. We then have to download the files from the internet, followed by the installation process. And once we give this guy a spade, a transvector binder, and some crop sticks, lay out the crops in a very specific pattern. Oh, wait a second. Looks like the robot is still here. But he's not here. I have no idea what is going on with this block right here. Ah, I think this guy's gonna get stuck on this old guy. Aha, got it. His server restart seemed to have fixed the problem. Nice, so this guy's just gonna work away for us. He has 3 modes. If you're interested in finding out more about this thing, I can't take any credit for this. I did not build this bot. I just copy and pasted the code. But I'll leave a link in the description for the guide to this thing. But he is awesome, watch this. He's going to take care of the weeds and everything. Coming up. He breaks the weeds, plants the crop, and moves on. Awesome. So with the help of Breeks over there, I was able to flesh out our farm a bit more. We now are growing some extra sugar beets, which we use for oxygen. Some stickweed for rubber. I fleshed out some more of these oak bonsais for extra wood production, some blackthorns for ink, various stone lilies which we could do with some more of, and glowflower for glowstone. So there is still a few crops we could do with, but now that we have access to our bot up there, it's going to be very easy for us to get those. For the start of this episode though, I think we're going to continue with this setup we were working on livestream. So we managed to set up the next part of this line here, which is for osmium dust. Osmium dust is very, very important for us, as we can make things like Rhodium, which is used in some of the ZPM and Thaumcraft materials, along with HSS-S, which, if you'll recall, is actually the next tier of blast furnace coil, which hopefully we can get today actually. These chemical reactors behind them is for palladium dust. We also get a nice byproduct of some extra ethylene and some ammonia out of this as well. We are already up to 636 palladium dust, which is really, really nice considering we're only running that setup over there at MV. So yeah, what is going to be our goals for today? Well, I would like to get the HSS-S coils. Hopefully we can grab the other 2 ingots on this quest page, which is Ruridit and Rhodium plated palladium. And the reason we need Rhodium plated palladium is how we make all of our LUV machinery. This is how we get, this is the equivalent to steel at LV, aluminium at MV, stainless steel at HV. You get the idea, right? And I've also been working on a little power storage solution here in the form of the PSS. This machine that we have here is definitely not cheap. This took me like 4 days of blast furnace work to get this stuff. It was absolutely insane, look at this. These power cells, which are not the cheapest here, they start off at EV. We upgrade those with titanium to IV, and once more with tungsten steel to LUV, and these are dense as well, so that's 9 each. But yeah, we're going to be able to hold billions of RF with this, compared to, what is it we hold right now, 400 million? Yeah, I think we currently have the capacity of 400 million in these energy orbs. But I think we have all the materials we need, and we're going to temporarily cut off power to our base here. Yeah, and I think our power cells go in the middle here. I'm not sure if we need a cap for this thing, but we're still in complete structure right now, and I think that's just because we're missing the dynamo hatch, or the energy hatch, which is how we insert power. So this is the cable off of our engines here. This is going to be our inputs. Let's do a quick backup before we start messing with power cables again. So we are outputting EV power into here. We want to transform these guys up to IV. Run this through some platinum cable. And this goes into a 4 amp energy hatch, which somehow can handle 5 amps in, which is plenty for us right now. And we still stay in complete structure, huh? We're missing something out of this, maybe a cap on the top of this. These casings here make use of the new alloy blast smelter we built, and this is painfully slow. So I'm glad we have some extras here. Okay, I got the extra casings. Hopefully this is all we're missing for this thing. Aha, running fine. Okay. No GUI though, which is strange. So as you can see by the tooltip, this does not require maintenance. However, it will consume 2% of the power that it stores based on the voltage tier. Alright, first of all we have to assess the power output situation, so we've got a 64 amp dynamo hatch on here. Before the live stream I also went through and switched out all of this vanadium gallium cable to 4x, which means that this can handle 16 amps down our main backbone spine here of our base. We can actually send 16 amps down this one cable here. Oh, everything is shutting down now. Oh no. We're gonna have to like basically go and restart everything once we do this, but this basically means that we can do a 64 amp insane transformer, and we want this in transform up mode to take from IV to LUV. And we need more vanadium gallium cable, but oh no. Our AE system went out. Oh. Well, I mean, luckily we still have some things in these batteries left. Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to power this system temporarily. We need to put a transformer down. Okay, give this the battery so that hopefully we get some power to our AE system, which means that we can pick up the vanadium gallium cable. And so now we can power this thing up, and I think all we have to do now is turn our engines back on just to get some power flowing through these things. Although that means we need the energy detector cover. I wonder if we can energy detect... maybe we have to energy detect the controller instead, which makes things a little bit tricky because that means we have to run the redstone over here. It's definitely possible though, hold on. Okay, once we extend along this cable here, okay, that did turn our engines on, awesome. We're getting power through here, we're getting power through here. How about our substation? Is not receiving any EU. I think it's just going to be the internal buffers because it's going to be absolutely huge, yeah. I think it's just filling internal buffers. Alright, so I've been doing a little bit of testing with this. I built this information panel which can let us see various stats about this thing. There is apparently 30 lines of metadata that we can read with these, but for right now we just have the stored EU. Right now we're at 574 million and we can hold 57 billion with this thing. As you can see here though, it does cost us 327 EU per tick to store the energy basically, which isn't really ideal, but I mean this thing allows us to bank huge amounts of power when we're not using it, and will allow us to like really utilize our blast furnaces, which we're going to be putting on passive fairly soon. So yeah, I wanted to make sure we have some sufficient power buffer. You can never really go wrong with a big battery, although this is probably going to eat through a lot of our high octane gasoline, which I did upgrade the super tank on this by the way, so we have 17,000 buckets. It's dropping pretty fast though, but yeah, it should be robust enough at least. Not sure if it's going to be enough to fill it, but I guess we'll come back at the end of the episode and see where we're at. Now that we got the power back to our base though, I'm going to run around and just make sure everything is actually turned on. Putting safe mode on everything means that we got a few notifications in chat here, which is probably too far up to even read now, that some of these machines will have turned off and we have to go through and manually turn them on. Alright, so with that area over there now going to be heavily polluted, I'm actually really curious to see what the pollution will be. We're going to start to build out more of these multi-blocks. Pretty much everything you can see is going to be more LCRs, with the exception of this one here, which is an oil cracking unit. I think this one here is distillation tower, and we got an extra blast furnace here to build as well. So I thought while we were doing that, we also smelt up some more HSS-G and S. We did cook over 2 stacks on stream. I think we're going to do another 2 stacks here. We're out of osmium dust. Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't actually hooked that up to our AE system yet. But we do have an extra 76 dust here we can make use of. Apparently we also get our quest. Okay, so 2 stacks more of HSS-S. And I think I might just do an extra half stack of HSS-G as well. Since I'm assuming you need that in order to make the coils. Yeah, we need at least an ingot per coil of HSS-G to make the HSS-S. So that is going to take a very long time through the blast furnace. I think it's like 70 seconds each. But I mean, I suspect this is going to take me a few hours, so I'm just going to get cracking, I guess. I'm going to see how far we can get with this. Aha, around 40 minutes or so has passed by, and we have our first, or the next two, the next two LCRs here, along with 3 different machines to handle the byproducts. So this is the first 2 quests in the Rhodium chain here, which we're eventually going to mix with our Palladium dust that we made on stream. The inputs for that system over there is this rhodium sulfate, and that goes into this LCR here. We mix with water. That gives us potassium, which we are fluid solidifying into ingots and then macerating back down into dust, and that just goes back into our AE system. And the fluid output we get from this is rhodium sulfate, which is then mixed with zinc in the second LCR. And we do get a byproduct here which we just electrolyze back into zinc and sulfur, and the oxygen here we just trash. And this also gives us crude rhodium metal, which then has to go through a blast furnace. Don't ask me why there's so many steps in this, but there is. This is GTNH. Okay, so we need another blast furnace, and then I think there's like 4 more LCRs after that. Yeah, we need to make nitric acid, we need to combine that together. Oh, there's also a sifter as well, but I think we're going to reuse the sifter. We reuse the sifter here for platinum and also palladium. Hopefully we can get away with just sharing that thing over there. Alright, so some more machines have been built. A couple of things to note with these setups. I did go ahead and add the extra blast furnace, which makes us rhodium salt. That is then sent over to this mixer here, which makes some sort of fluid. Then goes into this chemical reactor. And then I think it goes to this single block chemical reactor here, and then into the final chemical reactor for rhodium dust. We are currently on 326 rhodium dust, which isn't really too bad considering how long it's been running. The process for making rhodium also requires sodium nitrate. To make sodium nitrate, we need to combine sodium and nitric acid. And nitric acid is something that we were previously making in our old base. This is a mix of ammonia and oxygen. Ammonia we get as a byproduct somewhere here. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. And I think we get it in one of these other ones too. Yeah, right here also gives us ammonia, so we have plenty of ammonia and oxygen, of course. If you'll recall, nitric acid we need in the production of ITNT, which is used in all of our rockets. So we're going to need that coming up to build the next tier. It's going to be nice having that there available for us now. Few other things to mention though. I did notice that we are severely lacking on hydrogen. There is a few processes here that take hydrogen gas, and this is almost near the start of the chain. There's a few which also take hydrochloric acid, which of course takes hydrogen to make. I don't know exactly where that is, I saw it a few minutes ago. There's so many machines here now. But yeah, the way we are currently getting hydrogen is with these 8 basic electrolyzers, and this just really ain't gonna cut it anymore. We also get oxygen this way, but I think we're just voiding this since we are now overflowing on oxygen with the sugar. But hydrogen, we really have to fix hydrogen. I didn't expect to have to do that today, but I think I might have a solution for that though. But we're not quite finished here yet. We still have one more processing line up the top here in order to get Ruridit. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that is what we're going with. So the final Ruridit dust is this chemical reactor, this oil cracking unit, distillation tower which we still have to build, and a fluid solidifier which is going to sit right here. And that all comes out of this blast furnace here. It's the sodium ruthenate dust. So we have to combine this with chlorine, oil crack this with steam. So I have the oil cracker set up here, but of course we do need to get steam in here somehow. And I remember one of these blast furnaces do give steam as a byproduct. I believe we were previously just voiding this. So we could either somehow get that over to this oil cracking unit here, or we could just go for the fluid heater. Yeah, I decided to go for the fluid heater. Here we have a HV fluid heater which goes straight into the input hatch of this oil cracking unit. So the fluid heater effectively just turns energy and water into steam. That gets cracked on circuit 17, and the output is sent on this fluid conduit right here. We get hot ruthenium tetroxide solution. Gets sent over to the distillation tower, which is a very long recipe. 75 seconds at HV. And then from here, I mentioned that there was going to be a fluid solidifier. I have decided to move that right underneath this LCR. And it's also sharing the one with Rhodium. But once we plug in this solidifier here, it should automatically receive the fluid from the distillation tower. Maybe? Maybe I just forgot the settings on this thing. Aha, we're just missing one fluid conduit right here. It's almost impossible to tell, but yeah, it looks like these things weren't linked right here. Now we're receiving the fluid. Yeah, this fluid solidifier solidifies into dust. And from here we just have to mix with hydrochloric acid, which we are running very low on, but that's our next priority, I think. All we have to do is build out the rest of this chemical reactor, which is becoming like second nature by this point. There's so many of these things around the base. There we go. Also throw on the 2 machine controllers I think we're going to have on this one. Item detector cover. And do we need a circuit for this as well? We don't, we just have to filter in the hydrochloric acid. And I guess we can just extend along this line right here. Alright, we got the filter set. I managed to find 39 hydrochloric acid somewhere in the base. Which seems like that's all we have. So we're not going to get this running for a little bit. But in theory it should work. We should be able to get our Ruridit here. Actually, is there one more step to get rid of it? I think this is going to give us ruthenium, and we have to mix this with the Rhodium dust to get Ruridit dust. So again, just to recap, the Ruridit we need for LUV components. We need Rhodium plated Palladium for also the LUV machinery. We can also make our Iridium, I think is just a mix of the Osmium and Iridium dust in a mixer. And finally, we've got the HSS-S, which should be finished in the blast furnaces by now. Oh yeah, 260 HSS-S, awesome. And our quest. Alright, let's make all of this into wires so that we can make our coil blocks. And we combine along with our HSS-G and mica foil. We're actually getting kinda low on mica foil. We may have to go find another mica vein. I mean, I guess we still have 1,000 dust. That's gonna last us quite a while. We don't have mica based pulp. I think is just missing a recipe though. Yeah, I think we're still working off some of the backlogs that we had previously. Let's just add in the recipe. I think we've got the space for it in our mixers. Now, can we request like 1,000 of this stuff? Yeah, nice. As you may have noticed over there, I did just use cupronickel coils for everything. Although definitely at some point we'll want to upgrade. And since we can upgrade our blast furnaces now, I think we'll actually just recycle some of the coils that we have in here. So right now we have 3 blast furnaces that are HSS-G and the rest are tungsten steel. Oops, somehow I miscounted. We are 4 short. I think we have some extra HSS-S though, I just didn't make them all into coils. There we go, alright, what do you guys think? You think you prefer the tungsten steel or do you prefer the look of the HSS-S? Personally, I think I prefer the tungsten steel still. Anyways, we now have a spare set of tungsten steel coils, which I'm thinking we actually upgrade our oil cracking units over here with. So this is also one of the other processes in our base which takes hydrogen. We are lightly hydrocracking light fuel here, and I've noticed that this thing is very, very sporadic in the way that it runs because of the lack of hydrogen. Alright, that is looking nice. We get a discount on the EU cost if we do this, capping out at HSS-S. Although from what I understand, I think this is wrong. I think it's actually HSS-G that it caps out at a 50% discount. Alright, so thinking about our options for how to produce hydrogen, I think we're going to go with a chemical reactor. Another one, yes I know. And we have a little space back here next to our tungstate processing. And careful where this energy hatch goes, we're going to be running this at HV. But the pink line here is EV power, so we have to be a little bit careful here. We're going to place a transformer. Very good, no explosions. And we just build out our multi-block here, same as usual. Alright, nice. So the recipe we're going to be running in this thing is methane plus water on circuit 11. We could also do circuit 12, which will give us carbon monoxide instead of CO2 gas. But doing it with circuit 11 gives us slightly more hydrogen, which is what we're after here. And this secondary output, I think we're honestly just going to trash for the time being. So the methane, we can actually just extend along this fluid conduit line. Oh, how is our power substation doing? We're at 3.3 billion stored. Oh boy, we've still got a while to go and it's been hours since I set this thing up. The world has been running a long, long time. I wonder how our fuel situation is doing. Actually, not bad. Not bad. You know, the high octane gasoline actually received a buff in the most recent patch. So it now has a fuel value of 2.5 million per high octane gasoline cell. I forgot to mention actually, we have updated the pack and one of the main features actually is now Britannia. We have Britannia in GTNH. Not something we're going to be playing with right now because it's still being implemented from what I understand, and there's some balance changes that have to be made. I'm mostly just updated for quality of life things. We have some new NEI features and things for applied energistics as well. But yeah, methane right here is what we're after, and I did anticipate this actually, so I upgraded the super tank a couple of days ago. This one over here was the old one, we can take this back. So that should all be being sent into our fluid P2P network. I think we can just set the filter on the bottom of our new LCR here. Aha, perfect. Alright, so our input hatch is filling with methane gas. And we previously had a reservoir that was sitting here, which is also being shared with this system over here, which processes tungstate in the autoclave. But I think we're going to actually upgrade to a water reservoir, using a few more EV pumps. These are not the cheapest things to make actually, but I think they act as, like for example, the sink in 112. This can extract water as basically as fast as you could pull out of it. And is also a quest. So we can place that right here next to the input hatch, and we'll place a HV pump for insert, and we'll just continue to use the conduit here for the setup that's through the wall here. So now once we do the maintenance on this thing, and we give it, what was it, circuit 17? Circuit 11. We'll put on a fluid detector cover as well. And 8 seconds per recipe, we should be making lots and lots of hydrogen. Alright, we output that to a super tank below, and we can just import this straight into our Fluid P2P network. And it's basically all going to get consumed here since we have so many processes that require hydrogen. And we are going to keep this old setup here with the electrolyzers. This doesn't cost us anything since we are running these things with the gas turbines. So it really doesn't even cost us any power either, and this refinery gas we would just be voiding anyway. It may be worth to crack and distill this stuff, since we could technically get a little bit extra methane or ethylene this way. So that may be something to look at in the future, but for now we just keep this setup as is. There's no harm in this being here. So this should mean that we can have enough hydrochloric acid. We may have to look at our production of hydrochloric acid. I think that is still in a little MV machine. That may need updated, but I think we can actually fix this LCR on the end here. Awesome, and this was the final step in the chain of our long processing line in the IV quest tab. Oh wait, we still have to get the quest for up here, but it's done. So if you ever want to know how many machines this whole quest line takes up here, it's basically all of this right here, including these ones over to the left, the sifting machine, and this row of blast furnaces, so it's a lot. But honestly, I think I've done a relatively decent job of keeping this nice and neat. Everything is in its own little row here, and underneath doesn't look too bad either. Just need to dye this cable right here. We're also missing quite a lot of conduit facade around here. It would be nice to cover up a lot of these conduits here and also these cables. But that is going to be a project for another day. I think to finish out this episode, we're going to work a little bit on our farm here. Well, not specifically the farm, but processing for the farm. So we've been building up a few materials, some of which require some extra processing, which I would like to do just passively. So I've came up with this very basic setup here with just one extractor for the moment and also a chemical bath. The main reason I wanted to set this up is for salty root processing, which gives us salt, rock salt, and saltpeter. This is super OP. I think this might be a new addition to this patch actually. And so I had Breeks actually set up here, which is farming us some salty root. All these crops that you can see here with the missing textures. I don't know what's going on with this by the way, but it still seems to work. It still farms. So any of these that have max size, I've just been harvesting for the seeds. And as you can see there, we got 19 salty roots from one harvest, which is absolutely insane. Oh, I'm in his way again. Oops. Let him work. Let him work. So yeah, all the salty root is going to be placed over here. For right now, I've been doing everything in 5x5s, with a few exceptions of course, but almost everything is laid out in a 5x5 area here. And we're actually setting this up at the perfect time as well because we are getting kind of low on chlorine. I mean, kind of low. We are kind of low on chlorine. This is not really that much chlorine. So the fact that we are getting salt, rock salt, and saltpeter out of all of these things is really nice for us. So we're going to extract this on blue channel, and that goes into the drawer controller, which is right here. I think we'll have to go in the top side here since we'll want a storage bus on this for applied energistics. I'm not sure if this is going to be fast enough for us long term. Just this one advanced HV chemical bath. I mean, we can stack it, so I've specifically left space for more machines here. But the other thing I was considering is actually building one of these things, the ore washing plant, which has two modes actually. You can screwdriver this and make it into a chemical bath, or you can keep it an ore washer. And I tried doing both here, but we want to keep this one specifically as the ore washer. So it's no good just filtering it in here. Hopefully long term this is going to be sufficient enough for us. If not, I mean I guess we have to build a multi-block. But so now with these salt outputs, we are actually already electrolyzing all the rock salt. Any rock salt that ends up in our system goes over to this new electrolyzer here which I've built. This is the equivalent to all of these electrolyzers that we built over the last few episodes. And I mentioned about maybe switching to the multi-block. Well, that is exactly what this thing is here. So you remember how we had to have one machine per dust type as they all electrolyzed at different amounts? Well, we are now using the super buffers, very similar to what we have at our packagers over here. So these super buffers you can configure to send very specific amounts of dust. And the reason they're buffered into a chest before the input bus is just so that we can have some extra on the sides here. Since there is quite a few numbers which, well, don't all fit into the same super buffer, basically. So I believe rock salt is already requested in one of these electrolyzers. Yeah, here it is here. Electrolyzing rock salt gives us potassium dust and chlorine. The saltpeter, I think we're going to keep as saltpeter because there's a few things that we need saltpeter dust for. Some large chemical reactor recipes. I think it's this dichromate that we use somewhere. Oh, this is talic acid. I think this is yeah, this is used for PBI. We're going to need this later on. And I know for a fact there's definitely something we use saltpeter for. The salt though, we can also electrolyze for chlorine and sodium. Although salt we are using in our platinum system, so to help us control the amounts that we electrolyze, we're going to use a level emitter here. And this has to go on a separate connection since we don't want to control all of the rest of the outputs of these interfaces. Assuming that we have some channels down here. Yeah, we're going to have to add some dense cable down here. Which, thanks to the new update, is now super, super expensive. So it's absolutely insane the recipe for dense cable now. At least we have channels now for the level emitter. So we want to extract on blue only with a signal. And we want to set the level emitter to salt. And emit when levels are above, we'll say 6,000 salt, which is way more than enough we need in salt form, in item form. We'll also need to add a blacklist on this output here, since we don't want any salt to be automatically exported with this conduit when we're trying to control it to come out of the bottom side. And so now we just have to add it to the interface, and this electrolyzes, I think, 2 at a time. Yeah, so this is going to go in our 64 buffer here. Once it hits 64, it should turn on the machine and give us extra chlorine. Nice. And just in the time we set this up, this thing has already produced us 22 stacks of salt and 18 stacks of rock salt. That is insane. Okay, we're going to put the storage bus on here. We'll set this to high priority. And I think we'll put this on extract only. And should mean we have plenty of chlorine and hydrogen to work with for hydrochloric acid, which I'm probably going to move into an LCR soon enough. But that is, I think, going to be a project for another day, and I think we're going to wrap things up here. I would say we achieved what we wanted to achieve in setting up all these multi-blocks here, which took a very, very long time. But hey, at least we have some machines running now. We have some green lights. There is still the issue of maintenance. I've been doing maintenance on these every so often. Maintenance is something we have to look at, actually, because it's hard to tell exactly when we get maintenance. Maybe we can add some lights or something onto this. Oh, in fact, the oil cracking unit has already got maintenance. That was quick. So yeah, with that is going to do us for today. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.